What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It has been, I don't even know how long, I didn't check the last time, maybe a month or so since I've posted a video. I've just really been thinking about the content creation, and I've got one episode left of the Matt Report Season 8 to publish, with a couple bonus episodes that I've got scheduled out that I'm going to be recording pretty soon. There'll be a drastic shift in terms of the branding of Matt Report, and maybe even some of the types of content and people that I interview on the podcast. And hopefully this is a change for the better. As you know, all of Season 8 was about the change of WordPress and how a lot of people are shifting gears a little bit to adjust, and I think I'll be doing the same in terms of just creating content that I really like and enjoy. And after covering WordPress for 6-7 years without any kind of real alteration, I think it's time to really just bring in some more stuff. And again, I've been talking about this ad nauseum for quite some time. Today's video is about an unfiltered podcast episode from one of my favorite podcasts that I listen to called Startups for the Rest of Us. And I think a lot of folks that run in our circle of online entrepreneurship, bootstrappers, or that micro-comfy type of person, which I've talked about before in comparison and contrasting to the WordCamp types of business builders. Mike Tabor, the co-host of that podcast, really hits a challenge, and it's a challenge that I know that I have struggled with in the past, and I'm sure maybe even a lot of you have struggled with in the past. I don't think there's any entrepreneur, startup founder, business builder, owner, whatever label that you like to use, hasn't experienced this, and that is of, am I wasting my time building this product? Could I be doing something else? Is it a failure? Is it just the wrong messaging? Is it the wrong product market fit? Is it the wrong sales product market fit? Which I think is a little bit of what is perplexing Mike and his software product called Bluetick. It was a very emotional episode. I genuinely felt bad for Mike, and I don't know Mike. I actually know Rob a little bit better because I've had him on the show, and I've emailed him once or twice, outside of the show, just sharing some content with him. And it really it resonated with me, of course, because, I built a product 4 or 5 years ago now. It's a plugin called Conductor. It still lives. It's still out there in the world. People still buy it. We still develop it. In fact, we just recently launched a new upgrade for it, which allows you to do some fun stuff with Ninja Forms. But I remember just being like, this is an awesome product. People will buy this. And it was just too early on in the market. What Gutenberg is doing today with the concept of blocks is what Conductor was doing like 5 years ago, and maybe so many other plugins were, but the execution was a lot harder, and that's of course half the battle with a lot of this stuff. So I really feel for Mike. Like I know what it's like to build a product that's just not a home run. I've admitted to that. Summary of that particular product, of that product's life cycle. I've admitted to that for years now, that it was never really a home run. It was much more of a double or a triple, if we're using baseball terminology, much more of a double than anything else. And that's okay. And I have a lot of these mixed emotions because, again, if you follow along with other figureheads in the online entrepreneur space, there's a lot of chatter about picking the right market. Don't pick a small market with a small, user base because, you're not going to have as much brand awareness. People are going to have to figure out your product. They're not going to have anything else to compare it to. Whether versus jumping into the pool of a huge market, like let's say a contact form for plugins where there's 1 million of them out there. A lot of people are searching for them, but it's a really competitive scene to get into. But at least you don't have to educate your potential customer on what a contact form is. Again, pulling a thread out of Conductor, it was something of a query builder meets a page builder, and neither of those things really existed in the WordPress world as they do today, right? With the ubiquity of page builders that are out there. So I really, really feel for Mike, and he really opened up on this episode. I'll link it up in the show notes below. And much like Pippin, I've also done another video about this, has really brutally honestly come out to talk about what it's really like to run a business. And, there is no blueprint for any of this stuff. And I think that before you go into building a business, before you go into calling yourself an entrepreneur and getting out there and building a business, you really have to look at it as a game. And I've said this before in the past, where I know what my capabilities are. I know where my boundaries are. I'm not the smartest person in the room. So and especially in software, I don't develop, I don't code, I don't do any of that stuff. I'm much more of a product, tactile, look and feel. Can I operate this? Will other people want to operate in the same fashion kind of thing? I know where my limitations are. I know where my boundaries are. I know I'm not going to win, but every day. But more importantly, I know that there's going to be challenges. And I think that as soon as you can admit to that, as soon as you can admit defeat before you even get into the game, or be humble, or just understand that you're not always going to hit these home runs every time you step up to the plate to bat, things come a little bit easier. Or at least that's the only way that I've been able to deal with failure or turbulence, rocky roads, whatever words you want to throw in there, the struggles of running a business, the challenges. I really like this episode because Rob is sort of interviewing him and talking to him about it. And he's like, well, what are your options? There's like nuclear options where you can shut the business down or get a job, and then there's some options in between. But the idea is you assess all of your options. As crazy as they might be, lay them out, because any option could be a viable route, depending on where he wants to go. Which of these things that is holding you back are simply excuses. But one major takeaway that I could really feel and resonate with Mike was the sense of, my product is only successful when it's making money, and I can only do things with my product or my business when it starts to make money. And it's like, when you're thinking about dieting, right? And you're like, well, it's going to be beach time soon. I should get on the treadmill and stop eating this donut. And then you don't. And then you're like, you know what? I'm going to get there next month. We're going to start this thing all over again. I'm definitely going to do it. And then you don't. And you really start to think about how you're going to get there, and you think about doing the exercise. You think about that perfect body, or at least, these are the thoughts that I've had in the past. And you just never do it. Things get in the way. You don't make it a priority. But in the terms of business, it's this thing that you're constantly showcasing, right? It's Twitter, it's blogs, it's podcasts, it's YouTube, where all of these other entrepreneurs are shipping new features, and man, they've got it figured out. And my God, doesn't it sound awesome to go to your pricing page and adjust, the color of the number 9 on your $49 a month, and all of a sudden you got 20% uptick in signups, right? And you're just sitting there going, oh my God, all of this information, all of this stuff, I'm going to do this one day. I cannot wait, but first I need it to make some money before I can do that. And how do I make money? I don't know. I'm just going to go do some busy work. I've been there. I did it with Conductor for a couple of years until I really thought and sat down and said, you know what? This is a specialized tool. The market is only this big. I will never be selling so much of this product where making those minor adjustments are going to move the needle. But it's okay. This is a nice product that I'm happy with, that sustains itself profitably. People are seemingly happy with the product that use it, and life goes on. And if you're in that position, you either use that as a place to learn and figure out all of this stuff, or you eventually pivot, make it a little bit better if you want, if your product allows that, or you just let it continue to run its course happily ever after. But I understand the hardship that Mike feels when he looks at, assumingly, I'm just guessing here, being in the Startups for the Rest of Us podcast and the MicroConf scene, where you're surrounded by so much alleged success on Twitter and all of these things that people are sharing, and it holds you back because you're like, why isn't my business there? Why isn't my product doing that? Or you convince yourself that my product will do that someday, and then you just don't do anything about it. Not that Mike isn't doing anything about it. I just know when there's that wrong fit and you're still holding on and you're trying to really figure it out, it can really drag you down. And that is the demise of a lot of entrepreneurs, or products at least. And let me circle back to that. It shouldn't be the demise of the entrepreneur. It should maybe be the demise of the product, but the big lesson pulled away from that makes the entrepreneur better for his or her next product or business. I'm going to link the show below. Let me know what you think. This one went a little bit longer than I anticipated, but it was just fresh on my mind, just like when I covered Pippin's article about, his revelation of running a business. I hope you really enjoyed it. If you do, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I'll be posting more videos, I promise, soon. I'll see you in the next video.